What's going on, everybody? What's going on? This is your girl, Marky Lemons Rowell, and I get to hang out with an icon today, none other than the Katie Lance. What's going on today, Katie?
Hey, Marky. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today. We're going to have a lot of fun.
We are going to have a lot of fun. And you and I were just talking about the changes, the fact that we both had the opportunity to kind of go back out on the road and test everything with our family on a family trip. But what I wanted to do was just take the opportunity as we now transition, right, back to the road, because I don't think that a lot of people know, how far we go back, right? And I know that oftentimes people think of real estate as being a competitive market, but there are people who we do the same identical things almost. We all have our unique spin on it. And the world needs to know that I saw you on the stage first. And you were at Inman at the time, and it gave me the opportunity to know that I could do it also. So I just applaud you all the time for being a leader, especially in the real estate technology space, to be a keynote speaker on the road and to give not only but I would say hundreds of women who do what you do the opportunity to see you be a pioneer in that space. So thank you, Katie.
Thank you. That means a lot, my friend.
I mean, but it's so many things that you've done first, right? You've embraced technology first. And I remember when you authored your book, Get Social Smart, right? I have my copy here. Look, I'm bringing this book to work with me because I need you to autograph this book for me. And we talk quite a bit, especially about social media technology, and then also about more women being in or on stages in the real estate space, right?
Yep.
And I said, hey, Katie, which one of these great chapters, do we go over first? And we decided today, because it is the month of July, and because we're now in the last half, right, of the year, we're going to come up with some tips and strategies from your chapter 6 on honing your social media strategy. So for everyone at home, if you haven't had the opportunity, I want you to come on over to Amazon. I do want you to get, this is essentially the real estate Bible, right? For Get Social Smart. But when we start thinking about honing in on our social media strategy, I just ordered a t-shirt that says, this is not one size fits all. Okay.
I love that.
It is not. And actually, I was being funny because of the lipedema, right? This is not one size fits all. But in honing your social media strategy, I know that you have numerous blog posts as well as a podcast on this subject. What is one thing a real estate professional should not do? Let's just start with something that they need to just cut out.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said about it not being a one size fits all. And I would translate that also to social media, and I think the big mistake we still see a lot of agents and brokers making, and I'm sure you see this too, Marky, is, people trying to kind of do the one size fits all where they are outsourcing all of their social media, or they're automating everything, or, maybe they've signed up for some service that's just like auto posting everything. And I get it. As an agent or broker, you're busy. And, when you're managing a ton of, transactions and clients, the last thing you're thinking about is what should I post to Facebook today? But as you know, and I'm sure a lot of your audience knows, that really one of the best ways to be effective in social media in 2021 and beyond is to show up and be yourself and be authentic and put your own voice out in the world. So that would be one of the biggest things. I don't think there's anything wrong with scheduling some content. I think having a plan, as we're going to probably talk about, is super important. I think it's important to be intentional, but don't hand off everything you do with social media, your voice, your presence, just to kind of like this automated feed. I just think that's a huge mistake. I'm still seeing, not as much as we used to, but I still see that quite a bit.
I'm glad that you brought that up because one thing that I've been telling people when it comes to the outsourcing, which is something that we both preach, actually, not only do we preach it, we implement it every single day, and
Right.
that is video content. So I was at the grocery store. It's probably been about a month now. I had on a mask and I was talking to myself. A gentleman, because I'm looking for this MCT oil and I can't find the MCT oil. And I'm looking at the shelf. I'm like, MCT oil, where is the MCT oil? I know now that I was in the wrong aisle. However, I hear a voice behind me. And the gentleman says under his breath, I knew that voice. Now, at the moment he says it, it's nothing but validation to me because I already know
Yeah.
where this conversation is going. I'm like, oh, this man know my voice behind the mask, right? The reason he knows my voice, not that he watches any of my videos, but his wife is a realtor and she watches my videos. So he
Mhm.
hears my voice in the background.
I love it.
When we think about video content, what a lot of people we have not come to realize is it's not just video.
Yeah.
It's video, it's audio, and it's audio to text transcription. So to me, a realtor can outsource only one thing. That is the repurposing of their video content
Yep.
because their face, their audio, their tone will now be totally infused in any way that content is repurposed.
Yep.
And we keep preaching it. I think we've been preaching the same. I think you've been preaching it for a decade now. I've been preaching it for half
At
a
least.
decade now. And I'm like, look what it has done for our businesses,
Right.
right?
Well, and to your point, there is nothing wrong with, we have video editors we work with. We have folks who edit our podcasts. There's folks on our team that help with our repurposing. But to your point, there's nothing like you showing up, right, on camera. And that's where I think people get a little confused about outsourcing or hiring help and things like that. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially as you grow and your community grows and your audience grows. That's a positive problem, So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like you said, when you just kind of automate everything and you take yourself out of the equation, then you're in this sea of sameness, And I think that there's just sort of a sea of sameness with a lot of agents and brokers right now on social media, and the ones who are standing out are the ones who are putting their voice out there.
A sea of sameness. Is that the word that you just said?
That's what I said. A sea of sameness.
You know what? So when I think about a sea of sameness, I've been talking to realtors time and time again. What is going to be your unique selling proposition? How are you going to differentiate yourself from everyone else? Or better yet, from the noise?
Yeah.
How do you take yourself out of what everyone else is doing? Be creative, but think about the consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the sea of sameness, right? That actually reduces our value.
Yeah, exactly. Because then we look like everybody else. And if anybody doubts that, just go on Instagram and search the word realtor. And you'll see the same type of post multiple times over and over again.
Ooh, yes. And look, every way you could see that post, right? So
exactly.
So social media, because we're trying to outsource this. And in your book, you discuss the fact that it is a communication tool.
Yes.
What have you found in regards to communicating? What is like your favorite way to take that conversation that's being had in front of many, right? But to personalize it. Do you send direct messages? Do you go into the messenger? Or are you taking them off of Facebook? How are you leveraging it as a communication tool?
Well, I think that as a communication tool, that's the name of the game. Like half of half of your success with social media is not necessarily even what you're posting. It's connecting with people in the comments and Messenger, things like that. I mean, I feel like obviously a big part of everything we're talking about is content and standing out in a sea of sameness. But the other part of it is just showing up each and every day. And so I do a number of things. I've preached Focus 5 for years and years, and it's a simple idea of taking 5 minutes a day, scrolling through your feed, and picking 5 people or 5 posts that you can authentically engage with. Don't be a drive-by liker. Don't just jump in and like 12 things and then bail, but like take a few minutes. And I really believe in leaving meaningful comments. And in the world of social media, typically a meaningful comment is something that's at least 4 words. So for example, instead of saying congrats or great pick, I might say, congrats, Marky. I'm so happy for you and your family. You see how it just feels different, right? I used your name. I maybe asked you a question. And so that simple act of just like 5 minutes a day, that's a tiny small thing. And then I would say, to your point of Messenger, if somebody posted something like, a big moment in their life, which that's a lot of times what people post on social media, big moments, graduations, new jobs, going on vacation. Instead of being one of, 100 people that comments, I might send them a private message and say, hey, I just like your post, Marky. Like, I'm so happy for you and your family, right? And maybe that's just a message on Messenger. I love with Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger audio messages. I send audio messages all the time. First off, I don't have to be on camera, which is really nice. But second of all, it's also just a little bit more personal. Whenever I've done that, I would say 9 times out of 10, people are like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. I didn't know that you could do that. And it's just like that extra little small thing that I think makes a big difference.
I love that. And yesterday when I was teaching, I was discussing the Ford model. When you reach out to people, discuss their family, their occupation, their recreation, and their dreams. But I want to give a shout out to a friend of ours from your great state, and that would be Barbara Betts. Now,
love
this
Barbara.
is something, well, here, Barbara is going to just be my friend for life, right? Because Barbara is going to send me my first birthday card of the year, every year. And the first one I got was for my 50th birthday, which just changed our relationship. And I know that people don't, these cards, right? So it says, happy birthday month. Now, here's the joy in this. My birthday is July the 31st. So, right. So it's going to always be the first birthday card that I get.
That's awesome.
And what Barbara does, right, is that she, a lot of people don't know this, but when we look at birthdays in Facebook, you can actually extract those to your Google Calendar, put them in an Excel spreadsheet, and now you just go and you find the address. But this act, right? And then she does definitely sign it, right? She puts a little personal message in there.
Yeah.
But when I got it last year, and then now look, here comes consistency, right? This is the second year, right? And that I get this card.
I love
and
it.
This is a form of communication, including the fact of what you just said, Katie, why they should use audio. Because when we constantly are typing, right? Video would be number 1. Audio would be number 2. Now, just by you doing that, Katie, whether somebody had ever heard your voice or not, if they hear you speaking, they could be in the airport or the grocery store. They're going to pause. They're going to be like, where do I know that voice from? Right?
Right.
They know that it is Katie's voice. So yes, honing in on communication. And I love the audio messages because you don't have to comb your hair to do the audio messages.
Exactly.
And people are loving that. So definitely appreciate that. Now, let me ask you this. Based on the fact that we're now going to have to straddle the fence essentially in a hybrid world, what is one thing you believe the real estate community should do when it comes to honing in on their communication?
Well, I think it's got to be a little bit of online. I think it's got to be a little bit, to like what Barbara just did, sending you, a physical piece of mail, a handwritten card. There is nothing like a handwritten card. I always feel like if you're going to send direct mail, that's one of the best things that you can do because it's personal. It takes that extra effort. And I think it comes down to like meeting people where they're at, and especially when you're communicating during a transaction and really setting people up, for success from the get-go, and saying, how do you prefer to be communicated with? Should I call you? Should I text you? Should I email you? Like, what is it? But then just in general, keeping in touch with people. I think people are on different platforms. It might be Facebook, it might be Instagram, it might be a variety of different platforms. It doesn't mean you have to be everywhere, but just know that people are on different platforms, right? And so using those different communication tools, taking the online, offline, like you said, I love that idea of pulling off, birthdays from Facebook, putting them in your calendar, exporting them into a spreadsheet, and getting addresses, which, by the way, that whole task could be outsourced, right? That doesn't have to necessarily be you who does that. So, it goes back to what we talk about in the book. It's like working smarter, not just harder, right? And that's, I think, the name of the game.
Most definitely. Now, here's what's funny, because we know that some platforms change. So I want your solution to this. Recently, I had used Hootsuite. I was grandfathered in at the $5.99 per month. Now, I'm pretty sure we both were using it when it was free.
Yeah.
And they sent us an email and they said it'll be $75. First of all, I haven't seen that type of price increase on anything ever. And I'm instantly thinking, yeah, not.
Yeah.
What
I saw that
you,
email.
You saw that email? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your solution to the price increase in Hootsuite?
Well, I don't know if this is the popular answer or not. So here's the thing. I agree with you. I was like, what? This is it. And my first thought was, oh, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to find something else. And then there was the other piece of me that's like, I'm really comfortable with Hootsuite. I've used it for 10 years. And so I kept it. And I got the bill the other day and I was like, oh, that one hurt a little bit. So no offense to the Hootsuite team, but as of right now, I've kept it. However, I will say for Instagram, I've been using later.com for a long time. I've only used Hootsuite for Twitter and LinkedIn. That's kind of my two big things that I use Hootsuite for. But I haven't dug deeper into Later, because I know Later you can do Instagram and Facebook. I don't know, but I'm sure you can do some of the other platforms also. But I really do like Later's interface specifically for Instagram. I love that I can save hashtags. I have different groupings of hashtags. I can schedule, carousel posts, individual posts, videos, things like that. So it's also really user-friendly. You can use it from your desktop as well as your mobile device. So when we're on the road, it's easy to make edits and things like that. And I mean, honestly, when it comes to Facebook, I usually use either Facebook Creator Studio or Facebook Business Suite. I never really used Hootsuite a lot for Facebook. I know back in the day that sort of affected the algorithm, and I just got used to just using Facebook on Facebook, so I don't know. I'm kind of shopping around though. So I'm curious what you've done. Did you
Oh,
bite the
yeah.
bullet? Or?
Oh, look, instantly I'm thinking to myself, oh, there has to be a better solution. Now, one, I was already using Later. So I decided to put my focus into Later. Later didn't necessarily have LinkedIn. LinkedIn just became available over on later.com.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Good to know, right? And
Yeah.
then we started playing more with the Facebook creator. So
Right.
between the Later and the Facebook creator, but I also did one thing in the last couple of weeks that was probably a little unorthodox or strange. And let me say this, I'm going to say you influenced this decision in part. You communicate a lot on Twitter. You're very good at communicating. I was horrible at communicating on Twitter. And so I decided to let go of Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and Clubhouse. It's been almost a month now, and I've not missed any of them. Let me just say, I ain't missed none of them, because I wanted to become better at the tools that I knew the largest percentage of my sphere was using.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't need Hootsuite because LinkedIn came over to Later. I
Yeah.
decided to let go of Twitter.
Hmm.
And so that was the decision that I made, just based on what I thought the strategy was. And honestly, I was becoming overwhelmed by
Yeah.
so many different platforms and the need to create and repurpose all the content. What I
That's a
would
lot.
say, it is a lot. What I would say is my creative juices started to flow more after I eliminated those,
Yeah.
maybe because I reduced the amount of overwhelm.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. You
we
didn't feel that pressure of like, oh my gosh, now I got to chop this up and put this over here. And then I got to, like you did feel that pressure.
it felt really, really good. So then I
Yeah.
came home and decided, oh, what else can I eliminate, right? Because we just got, I'm gonna get rid of you. I'm gonna get rid of you. No, um,
A little spring cleaning.
yeah, it was spring cleaning, and it was sort of like, where is your true audience, your
Yeah.
tribe, the people who
Yeah.
speak your language, the best relationships, the return on investment, whether that's monetary and or time. And
Yeah.
then I just looked at some people who were killing it, right, doing really phenomenal work, and I'm like, yeah, Marky, when you're gonna have time to be phenomenal? Oh, you're not, because you're not even communicating over there. Oh,
Right.
and I think that the real estate community needs to be able to hear the fact that you don't have to do everything.
Yeah, I agree. And you have to be where your people are, and that's something I think that you did. You took that into consideration. It's like, where do you want to be? And then where's your tribe? Where are your people hanging out? Where's your community? And that's, I think, so smart because even we're in the business of social media, but we can't be everywhere. It's exhausting. You got to pick and choose.
You definitely have to pick and choose, because there are clearly some platforms we're staying away from
Mhm.
100%. Like you wouldn't even want anyone to know that your eyes had even seen that type of content, right? And so you don't have to use everything that is available, and it is really impossible to do. So I was wondering, because
Yeah.
I'm looking here and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about nobody else, but me and the Hootsuite had to part our ways. Phew.
Yeah, I need to reevaluate that.
Yeah.
But I will say, like you said, Twitter is one of those things that's kind of interesting because it's evolved a lot. I've been on Twitter probably a decade, and for us, Twitter actually does two big things. It's a way for us to drive traffic to our other content. Um, but it's also a great way to curate content. I've always used Twitter. And that's one of the things I did like about Hootsuite. I'm sure there's other platforms that do this where you can pull different search results, and who's tweeting what, and it's a way to kind of interact with people. So we'll see. We'll have to revisit this in 6 months and I'll give you an update where I'm at.
So you mentioned the word curate. Now I've actually just looking at curate content, chapter 7 in your book. If you've not
Yeah.
had the opportunity, I want you to go over to Amazon and get Social Smart by Katie Lance. This is like the real estate Bible. So many great tools and resources. And I'm going to say this too, Katie. A lot of these resources, a person can start leveraging them at absolutely no cost.
Yeah.
We definitely know how to leverage some free tools. That don't mean you always stay free,
Right.
but definitely how to leverage them. So when it comes to curating content, and you just told us you do that with Twitter, but what is when you think about curating content, because we don't want to curate everything, what are some of
Right.
the steps that you take to identify content to curate other than Twitter?
So my idea of curating content has kind of changed over the years. Originally I used to I used to always kind of be on the lookout for articles or, things that I read from Inman or NAR, and I would look for, opportunities, just really good articles and, content from like Housing Wire, where I would take that and I'd share it on LinkedIn or I'd share it on Twitter or I'd share it on Facebook. And I think my idea of curating has actually kind of evolved over the years because what we have found is that, and you've probably seen this too in your work, is that really the best type of content that an agent or broker or anyone can really post is not just links, but content that's in your voice, that has your opinion, that has your personality. And so the way I look at it is, if you read a great article from Inman or you read a great article from NAR or your local association, instead of just sharing that link, there's a good opportunity to give your opinion about what that article says. maybe you don't have time to get on video, but you could at least write a couple sentences and say, hey, I read this today in NAR, and this is how it relates to the Chicago market, or the Atlanta market, or wherever, wherever you're based. And you can still link to that article, but just kind of adding your own flavor to it. And ideally, if you could do a quick video, that's even better, right? Because then people hear you, people see you. It doesn't have to be the most polished thing. I mean, to your point, so much of what you can do doesn't cost anything. I mean, other than the price of your phone, which we all have. So taking your phone out, doing a 30-second video saying, hey, I just read this article on Inman. This is my 2 cents. I'll link the article below for reference. But that's kind of what I think about when I think of curating. And I always say, look at your life as content. That's the best way to curate content. Look at your life as content. As you're out and about, you watch a movie, you're out, at the pool with your kids, you're at a home inspection. Like, there's all these things that come up. And when you start to kind of just be open to the idea of like, gosh, anything could be content. Anything could be content ideas. You'll never run out of ideas. You'll never run out of like things to talk about, when it comes to content and posting, things like that.
You know what? I'm looking because you mentioned Instagram, and I just want to inform the world about Instagram. I love Instagram, and I am lightweight stalking a boatload of 30-year-olds, and they are teaching me everything about Instagram Reels, but hacks like this. They are the hackingest generation in the world, and I just feel so fresh. Like, I feel hip. I think it's the word that I want to use, because I mean, like, not one of them is over the age of 35, right? And they're killing it at what it is that they do. And I'm like, who would have thought to use that way? Or why did I never think about that, right? And so in curating content, when we think about the world of real estate, I would want to encourage them to curate and look at content outside of the world, not always to share, but to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you to your point with Instagram, you could scroll through the Reels feed and just get some inspiration on different ideas that people are doing and go, you know what, I could make that my own. I could take that song and, gosh, that reminds me of, this funny thing that happened 3 days ago or whatever. And just, not being afraid to try too. I think that's a big part of it. I think that there's a lot of folks who are like, I don't know how to do it. It's really overwhelming. And look, the first couple times you make a reel, it is kind of confusing, but that's kind of how you learn is you push the buttons, you make a mistake, and, worst case scenario, you hate it. You can always delete it. It's all good. And the reality is a lot of this content, it's like here today and it's gone. It's gone in a couple hours. It's gone in a few days. It's not like a book, no pressure. It's going to be around forever. It's like, it's all good, right?
When you speak of reels, yesterday, a young lady came to class. She's been in real estate for 13 years, but she worked at the University of Chicago for 33 years. Her name is Evelyn. Now, I'm going to tell you what I love about Evelyn. And she told us her age yesterday. She's 68 years old. But when I tell you she killing it on Instagram Reels, and she is killing it on TikTok. And I'm going to give another shout out to not only to Evelyn, but also to Regina. Regina is a TikTok singing sensation. Okay. And agents in Chicago, they inboxed me and they said, Marky, we know you started her to use TikTok. I did not start Regina to using TikTok. But the other day she did I think it was Chain of Fools, right? And she got the sparkles on and she got the dance move, and Regina get to getting it. And I'm like, I am so inspired by the fact that they were willing to take the chance.
Yeah. Take a risk, right? It's stand out in the sea of sameness, right? Like, take that risk, put yourself out there. I love that.
A young lady I graduated, we actually attended, Nina, we attended grammar school, high school, and college. Her father, they call him OG. I think he's going to be 80. Wow. He has so many followers right now over on TikTok, and he's been on local talk shows and everything.
Yeah.
But he's consistent. He is consistent. He has a very big personality. And I'm pretty sure he's only been on this platform for a year. So you're never too old. And actually, sometimes being older might actually be a benefit to leveraging the platform because you're going to stand out.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You,
absolutely. You are going to stand out for sure.
and
That's awesome.
dancing, because somebody says, Marky, why everybody want to dance like you? Everybody can't dance like Marky, but Marky been dancing or modeling, right? I changed my profile
Exactly.
picture to the modeling. You want to do that one thing, just a little different.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
then
the thing is, you don't have to be dancing. If you're not a dancing person, like I've not danced yet. Not that I wouldn't, but my personality, I'm more of a like, let me teach you something, right? But I can have fun. We'll add some fun music, or we'll, have some creativity with it. So you just, you gotta, and sometimes just you don't know what your voice is until you start putting stuff out there and seeing what works, what doesn't work, what resonates with other people too. So sometimes you just got to try a few different things, see what works.
I'm thinking we need to plan a dance. Now you don't have to dance. Do you sing? Come on, we got to get you. You got to
I
do
can lip
something.
sync.
You can lip. You can lip sync. Look, we could do karaoke. I can be the dancer. You
Okay.
can be the
Okay.
lip sync. And look, then yes, then we can bring Chelsea in on this too. I got a new idea. I got a new
This
idea
could
for
be an
us.
Inman thing.
It can definitely be an intimate thing, right? And we all play. We can be our own three-girl band.
I love it.
Each of us do. Now we got to see if Chelsea can play an instrument. I cannot play an instrument, but yes.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have our 11-step process to promoting our pillar. Your weekly content includes.
Yep.
And so you send weekly emails.
Yep.
And I know you do because I get them.
We do. Well, and it goes back to, I'm sure I said this in the book. I've said it, in other places too. I love social media, but social media is rented ground. We don't own it, right? And so I really think as much as it's valuable to show up and engage with people on social media, it's also important to create assets that you own, no matter what, that go with you wherever you go in your email database. It's not as fun as Facebook or dancing on TikTok, but it's important, so absolutely. So often I see agents and brokers starting to get into this role of creating content. They're putting video out, but a big mistake I see is they don't tell enough people about it. You can't just put a video on YouTube and expect 1,000 people to see it. It's not going to happen, right? Maybe if you're like Kim Kardashian, but like you've got to be your own best promoter, and you've got to think about distributing content. I send it to our weekly email newsletter, and we also share it multiple times because we know not everybody sees stuff the first time. There is so much noise on social media. So if I have a new video, I'm going to share it today, and I'm going to share it again in 3 days. I'm going to share it again in 2 weeks. Depending if it's still relevant, but looking at that and getting your distribution plan in place, that's the name of the game.
So once again, guys, if you've not had the opportunity, I want you to go get a Social Smart. One, because it's an abundance of tips, but I do have another question for Katie. You interviewed a young lady, and it was about taking the Instagram content and resharing it just on Instagram multiple ways. Did you find, well, one, could you share just a little bit about that strategy, and did you find it to be effective?
Yeah, so we do this a lot. I really have kind of doubled down on my Instagram this past year. This kind of goes back to like being where your people are, and I am on a number of different platforms, but I probably get more engagement on Instagram than just about anywhere else. It's really been a huge platform for us, and so it's really been interesting. I'm always kind of my own best guinea pig. Before I teach something, I always got to try it out, make sure it actually works, as I know you do as well. But yeah, we repurpose a ton on Instagram. So I'll just give you a quick example. Every week we have a video that comes out. We've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years. It's the Get Social Smart Show. It's a 4 or 5 minute video. It comes out on YouTube and Facebook every Wednesday. So we thought, well, how can we take that and repurpose that for Instagram? So what we'll do is we'll take a 1-minute clip of that video every Wednesday, and we put that 1-minute clip on Instagram. And the call to action is, hey, if you want to watch the full video, click the link in my bio, watch the full video on YouTube. And of course, we share that 1-minute preview over to our story as well. A few days go by. We'll take that same video. Now we'll take the full video. Usually 4 or 5 days later, we'll take the full video, put the full video on IGTV, right? Instagram TV. You can put up to 15 minutes or even longer, actually, but generally we'll keep it under 15 minutes. Put it on IGTV. Again, share it from IGTV over to the story. Then a few days go by as well, and we'll take that same content from the video and we'll turn it into a carousel post. We'll create it in Canva and multiple photos, multi-photo post. Basically the same content, but we know some people don't watch videos. Some people aren't as into videos. Sometimes a carousel post is going to resonate more with people than a video does. So now you've got basically one piece of content turned into 3 different posts over the course of, a week and a half, 2 weeks or so. And then when you start to layer that with other content you're doing, it's like the snowball, right? And so it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, this idea of working smarter, not harder. And to even take it a step further, if that content resonates with a lot of people, if you see, wow, a lot of people are liking and engaging with this, maybe take out a little snippet, like a 15-second snippet, and turn that into a reel, right? I actually did this, some of my very first reels, you'll probably laugh at this, some of my very first reels, I was like, okay, I have all this content, right? Like there's no shortage of content. So I went back to an older IGTV video and I actually did a screen recording. This is not high tech, right? I opened my IGTV on my phone and I did a 30-second screen recording of an old video. That's it. No editing, nothing fancy. I just screen record on my iPhone. I went up to Reels. I uploaded it to Reels and I was like, hey guys, here's a video about X, Y, and Z. If you are curious about the full video, we actually released this 2 years ago, but it's still relevant. Comment below and I'll send you the full link to the video. That silly little screen recording got like 2,600 views on Instagram. I was like, are you kidding me? So it just goes to show, like, Reels right now is hot because it's a new thing, right? And that might change in 6 months or a year or whatever, but something as simple as that, looking at older content, repurposing it. I also love in Instagram, I'll give you one other tip real quick. I love going into my insights. If you have a business account or a creator account, go into your insights and you can search your content by reach, like which content got the highest reach, which content got the most saves, which content got the most likes. And I love going back a year or two. And it's always fascinating, like what content in the last 2 years got a high level of reach. If it's still relevant, I will repost it. If you posted an inspirational quote 2 years ago, why not share it again? Just change the caption a little bit, and change it up a little bit. So yeah, we could talk on and on about repurposing, but especially Instagram. I just think there's a lot of great opportunities there.
Well, one thing that you just stated, because Instagram made a post last week, is that they no longer want to be the photo share app, but the video app. And you just gave gold nuggets on how to take that one piece of video and repurpose it. I came up with 6. No, you actually almost hit every single feed, right? Inside of Instagram with that one video, IGTV, feed, carousel post, and then do a screen record of an old IGTV and turn it into a reel. And then share that to the story, right? So
exactly.
And that's what they said they want. And what I've realized over the years, when we give Facebook and Instagram what they tell you they want, you can beat the algorithm, because at that moment, that is where they're giving you grace inside of the algorithm. And so, guys, if you have not had a chance, because guess what? We just skimmed. Look, we just started scratching the surface of Katie's book. Get Social Smart. Definitely connect with Katie online. She is a communicator. Everything she told you, she does, because she comments on my posts, and she even sends me messages on Messenger. But more importantly, apply what she is stating, because she is the GOAT. I need y'all to know that, of social media and technology in real estate. Katie, I want to thank you. And I'm I'm more than glad. I'm elated that we will spend time together in Vegas and at the Realtor Conference and Expo. So I'm thinking we
Yeah,
got to put our girl karaoke together. You lip sync, I dance, and hopefully
I love
Chelsea
it.
plays an instrument and we going to make it do what it does.
I love it.
I love it too. Thank you guys. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me today, Marky. Thanks, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.